Okay, yeah. Okay, so quick review of yesterday, which we only did the translation and the questions. Hago sigi mikasef, this is 25, 4 through 5. Hago sigi mikasef vayete latzoref keli, hago rasha lifnei mela v'yikon batzedek kiso. So remove dross, the impurities from silver, and a vessel will emerge for the refiner or the smelter. Remove a rasha from before the king, and his throne will be established in righteousness. So questions are, what is the subject of the pasuk? What is the decision-making scenario? What are the parameters? What are the implications of the silver mushel, meaning davka silver? Is this just an example of a valuable substance with adulterants, or are there more implications? For example, silver rather than gold, or sorif, teaching us who Mishlei might be talking to, like what's the sorif? For the puzzle makes it sound like the kli automatically emerges for the refiner once he removes the draught, but that's not true. In fact, the tzorif is not the one who makes the kli. That's a silversmith. 5, what does it mean to remove a rasha from before the king? What was the situation before and what's the situation after? So is this like a guy who's just in the king's presence? Is it an advisor? Is it, someone who the king relies, depends upon? 6, how exactly does this quality of tzedek emerge? 7, what are the implications of yikon kiso? Does that mean his throne will last for a long time? It'll be protected, firm, whatever, something else. What's the practical definition of hago? If this is even telling us one. I mean, it sounds like just the result. There's probably a lot of ways to do this. And then who's the audience? Is this for a king who is currently being advised by or is in the vicinity of a rasha? Does he know about the rasha or not? If he does, what's his havamina to keep the rasha there? If not, how is he supposed to detect him? If the audience is for someone else, who is that person and what is his role here? And then Ariel said a good question as well, which is that this seems pashut. Okay. Isaac. And also, if anyone knows my perush of the pasuk, then don't say it. I want to say it. Yeah, Isaac.
Okay, so I don't know your parish.
You don't? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I've never heard the pasuk before.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So, my take on it is that when you see silver ore, it doesn't look like much. It's it's very adulterated. And I think this is why it's silver and not gold, because gold doesn't chemically bind with other substances, so you can actually see the gold.
Okay.
Where silver ore, you have to know that there is silver in it, but it doesn't look like the finished thing. And then when you refine it, then now it's basically just a silver, like a silver vessel. You just need to shape it. I think it's being intentionally hand wavy about that, because it's already almost there. You just need to. It's just the last step of the making it into a vessel, but that's not. It's brushing over.
Sorry, you're saying that the mistake is that you think that it's basically there.
No. I'm saying the pasuk is asserting that, is implying that. The mistake is not recognizing that basically all you need to do is just smelt the ore, and then you basically have the silver vessel.
I feel like I'm not getting something.
Okay, I'll talk it out for the second half.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you might see a malchus that is doing injustice, and you're like, this is, this is a terrible malchus. But really, all you need to do is remove the rasha, and then you're 90% of the way there to having it be his throne be established in righteousness.
Okay. His throne established in righteousness. Okay.
Yeah, and so I think they're saying, going back to the first half about the kli, I think, obviously there are more steps to make the kli.
Yeah.
But I think it's the hard part is already done, and I think that's what it's that's the parallel for the first half.
Okay, I hear. Yeah. Moshe. Okay, sure.
I think this is about certain compromises that people make that they don't realize are harmful.
Okay.
So it's obvious in silver to see that when you have an imperfection, it greatly reduces its value.
Yeah.
And you have like a piece of rock with the silver, obviously no one's going to want to buy it. But people don't see the same thing with, let's say, people around you. I'm not sure exactly how it fits with leadership because I think this would apply to all people. But people would think that having, let's say, someone around who's majorly influencing you, who's who's bad, or you have a habit that's terrible.
Yeah.
You say, well, it doesn't matter because I have a lot of other good qualities. But generally, I'm a good person.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But if you were to look at it in terms of a rock, you would say it's horrible.
Okay. That's really good. So I think Sadyagon in his Perush says that. So let's just go over Sadyagon really quickly, not on the packet, but so Sadyagon, I think is the only one I've seen who says this. He says, Toim Devaro ze es Devaro Harishon, Shamelch Kivenshu Yesod Miyasodas Olam. Or so he's connecting to the previous pasuk. I don't think that's really relevant. Vari Hashemaim Ena Makepes Va'art Ena Nikepes Im Be'ezo Mitzad Hateva V'Hatnua. Whatever. Kach Gam Melech Lotis Kayim Malchuso Im Betzedek Uviyosher B'Mediniuso Umishpatav. So too, the king's malchus will only be established in tzedek and in uprightness in politics and laws. So too, it's an obligation to remove every Russia from before him so that he doesn't corrupt the memshala. So that I guess the Russia influenced Hanhaga will not corrupt the memshala. Okay. Now, here's the part where I think it fits in really well with you. Okay, so that's why you see the kings are very makpid when it comes to protecting the mints where they mint coins. Okay, why? So that people's money doesn't lose value when counterfeit coins enter into the thing, or meaning when they, I mean, I assume that counterfeit coins back then were not totally non-silver. I assume it was silver mixed in with other stuff, and it was very easy for people to, not easy, very easy, but easier to forge a counterfeit silver coin than to make a fake $100 US bill, right? Kach roy lahakpid b'shmiras hamamuna lahanhigas hatzava v'hachukim k'dei shelo tushchas hahanhaga b'chadiras harushaim b'socha. So I've never seen that word before, chadiras, like from cheder. I don't know what chadiras is. So too, it's roy to be makpid in guarding the appointees who are governing the army and the laws so that the hanhaga is not corrupted through the, I guess, dwelling of the Rishaim in it, or the presence of the Rishaim in it. And even more than that, ki harishon b'sakanas mamon v'asheni b'sakanas nefashos. Forging money is only going to lead to a loss of money, but a Russia in the Malchus could lead to a corruption of the entire thing. So it's not exactly the same, but that it's making the same move of, it's obvious to anyone that silver loses value if there's any adulterants in it. So too, it should be obvious that the presence of any Russia will totally corrupt the kingdom. But I like how he's, I think you could say what Isaac said also, that it's just that silver is a good example where the adulterants are not visible. But I like kesef. Why do people care about not having adulterants in kesef? So for us, it's just like in, I don't know, jewelry or whatever people use it for. For them, it was their actual money. And like, it's obvious you don't want counterfeit stuff going there. Let's go. David, is this on the same idea?
No, it's a different idea.
Isaac, same idea?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, to the question, then why does it say specifically kli and not mamon?
That's the big problem with Sadyagon's pshat, is that it seems like this is really what it's saying. It should just omit the word, or it shouldn't use soref and kli, because I don't think you use the word soref for a coin minter.
Welding generally, metals?
Not welding, refining. The soref is refining. Because tsaruf, like kesef tsaruf is like purified, and like, the soref lahem is abrios.
Another comes up on Shabbos, like,
yeah,
you put cold water on hot plate, you say it's sorry.
All right, could be, maybe it could be, yeah. Either way, I don't think that. I think that's the weak point of Sadyagon's pshat. Or do you want to add to
actually?
This
sorry, just about that. We say kesef tsaruf.
Right.
I think like it's a descriptor of money.
Correct. Right. Okay. David and then Ariel.
Different idea.
Yeah.
So I think that in here is the situation of the king. I think a lot of times when we have something good and we want to improve on it, we think a lot that what's necessary is to add more. And it sounds like here what's necessary is just to remove the bad.
Yeah.
And I think it's like, I know it's been talked about plenty and plenty different types of situations, but here for the king with his malchut, where he has like, it seems like he has similar to the Kesef situation, like already something good going for the malchut, but then there's also these the bad things within it.
Yeah.
And I think that the king should then focus, this pasuk is saying the king should focus more on just removing the bad parts to allow the good to emerge, than focusing on like strengthening the good. And just one other thing that I would say about it is I think that particularly with a lot of things particular to badness here, that a teeny little bit of bad can have a lot of influence, much more than a proportionate amount of good can have. And so it's important to just remove that bad.
That's another pasuk in Koheles, right? It's in, you know what I'm talking about, Moshe?
I would
A little bit of bad can it's in 9, I think. No. Oh yeah. Zevuve mavis yavish yabia shemen rokeach yakar mechachma mikavot siklus ma'at. So dead flies putrefy a perfumer's oil. And hold on. Maybe I'm mixing up two things. Hold on. Yeah, the chote echad. I think I'm mixing up two pesukim. Chote echad yabe tova harbe. Yeah. Tova chachma miklei krav. Yeah, I'm mixing up two halves of two pesukim. Tova chachma miklei krav. Chachma is better than weapons. V'chote echad yabe tova harbe. And one sinner can ruin a lot of good. Yeah. Yeah. So and I think this is kind of implicit in what Moshe Kappel was saying also, is that sorry, a little bit of bad can do worse harm than adding good, right? Like in other words, than the good added by something good, right? Is that like let's take a building, you could have really, really good architecture and using really good materials and it'll be stable, but then one thing that is off, in terms of the material or the construction can like bring down the whole thing, right? Something entropy. Yeah.
I have an example of this also.
I'm gonna actually skip the example. I would love the examples,
Sure.
but because we only have a short time today, I just want to make sure we get everyone out, and then we'll go through examples later if we need. Yeah.
So I want to say that the impure. Okay, so that it's not the Melech himself that's removing the impurities or the rush or the rush.
Okay.
Because I think the silver is the Melech. And I think the silver is the Melech, and I think the throne is the vessel.
Okay.
And the dross is the Russia. Now, and who's managing all
who's the
stuff?
refiner?
It's gotta be someone in his circle.
Okay.
Either it's his advisor, either it's someone in his kingdom. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I'm relating this because I just did this story with the Isha Takea.
Yeah.
And Yoav, and the way I'm understanding the story is that Yoav, there was something, and it's not necessarily something that's like inherently righteous. It's just something that's bad for the progression of the Malchus.
Yeah.
It could be either something that he's struggling with or something that will limit it. So Yoav had to create a situation where, David needed to make a decision about a film, either kill the guy or bring him back.
Yeah.
You can't be in limbo. So like he was trying to, but David in that time frame, he was kind of like not. The question is, why would Yoav do it? It was because he wasn't. The Malchus was kind of like in jeopardy. Like, it wasn't. It was like a stagnant. It wasn't really doing much.
Yeah.
So I think that if you not, it's and I think the finish is that it doesn't necessarily have to be something inherently righteous. It's just something that's going against the system that could be very, very small.
Right. Okay. That's good. I want to say that I think pairs really well with the last pesukim that we did about how the king has so many decisions in front of him and so many factors that he himself is not capable. You need a tzoref. You need someone who's going to be sifting out the bad influences or the unreliable facts to make sure that whatever comes before the king's desk, the king is essentially a decision maker, so you need to make sure that someone is filtering out bad or false influences to make it to the king's desk so that he can exercise his judgment correctly. And that's why I like that muscle there, is that it's someone else other than the king who's like the gatekeeper for this stuff. And you see, I mean, I don't have the examples at my fingertips, but I'm sure there are cases where presidents made bad decisions because someone, well, I guess Haman is a good example, right? Because the wrong or faulty intel to come before him, and then he exercised good judgment, but not based on the right facts.
I mean, and on the opposite side, like Achitophel, like he had Absalom sleep with all the concubines,
Yep, got a lot of good. I gotta learn Sefer Shmuel because there's a lot of good Malchus stuff there. Yeah, Isaac.
I have a Derek Nister for David's approach.
A Derek Nister, okay.
Yeah. That I think a lot. When someone wants to be, I'd say, improving in their relationship to Hashem, a lot of times people will think about like what good things they can do.
Yeah. The temptation is you think about good things to add, rather than bad things.
Yeah, rather than bad things to remove. Yeah. And like you see this happen with people like who are very devout when it comes to like religious things, but then when it comes to Dini Mamonos, they're really very corrupt.
Right. That's good. That pairs well with a Rabbeinu Yona early in Mishlei, when he says, so on the second pasuk, Ladas Chachma Musar. So Chibur Mishlei Shlomo Ladas Mimena Chachma Musar. So Shlomo composed Mishlei to know from it Chachma and Musar. V'Chachma hi midas hatzadikim v'darchei ha'emes v'atzedek asher yodia v'var b'sefer zeh. So in this context, Chachma is the conduct of the tzadikim and the ways of truth and righteousness that are made known in this book. Musar, who gnus harishayim hodas hanezek v'hefset hamagim mehem. Musar is the degradation of the Rishayim and informing us about the harm and loss that come from them. Okay, so he says you'll see v'tirei harbe mikras b'sefer zeh miktas hamikra midaber al midas hatzadik miktas b'gnus midas harasha. So you'll see many pesukim that half of it, deals with the midas of the tzaddik. The other half deals with the degradation of the rasha. V'roy liyaser nafsho tchila laharchik midas haresha v'lios gadr mimena. Shelo yachshi lehu hayetzer aleha be'itim asher yakar mikrehu lis gaber lishlot ba'adam. So a person needs to discipline their souls first, meaning chronologically first, to distance themselves from the midah of the rasha and to be protected from it, so that his yetzer doesn't cause him to stumble in those times when it happens to overpower him. The achar kach yargil nafsho la'alos b'malas midas hatzadik. And then he should accustom himself to ascend to the mala of the tzaddik. V'da, you should know, ki lo hanimla v'hamitahar. Oh, okay, this is going to fit my pshat. Okay, so that's saying that there is a sur mirav asay tov, and that's an order. Okay, that is an order. You have to sur mirav before you can be asay tov, because the ra can trip up your tov. It's more likely that the ra will trip up your tov than that the tov you get is going to like nullify the ra. Okay, which is contrary to what people think. And it is also often easier to just add a new good thing than to like really work on changing the bad. Yeah, Moshe?
Someone said something about it regarding it's very true.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work to do more mitzvahs. No, they're not aiming to do.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. A good example. Okay, let me give my pshat here. Okay, so this is so for me, the pshat emerges from Moshe Koppel's question yesterday of, it makes it seem like the kli automatically emerges for the refiner, okay, once he removes the dross, okay? So this is where I got my theory from, that sometimes there are false Mishlei pesukim, okay? That the Mishlei pasuk is speaking from the perspective of the fool and saying what he thinks, so that you can guard against the fallacy. So I call this, and there are Mishlei ideas that become part of my vocabulary and like principles like oxville. Remember for that one. So this is what I call the silver fallacy. The silver fallacy it's really the opposite of Isaac's idea, okay, which is the belief that simply by removing the bad, the good will automatically emerge, okay? But in reality, you need two things when making a silver kli. You need the removal of the bad to prepare the material, which creates the potential, but then you need a silversmith who can work with the craft of kli making to make it a kli, okay? So the move here is it's obvious. Everyone knows that just when you remove the dross does not mean that you're gonna a kli is gonna pop out like Aaron the Kohen according to Rashi, right? That you just the calf popped out, right? But it's not obvious. People do think that if you just remove the bad influences, then somehow that's going to be good, and that's just not true. In order to be a good king, you don't. I mean, obviously, you do need to remove the Russia, which is what you guys have been saying in various ways. But you need to know, like, you need good legislation, you need good judgment, you need to have good systems, you need resources. You need a lot of stuff in order for the Malchus to be good. And an example of this that I think new teachers fall into, right, is I'm not saying you guys, but I do think that the interference of misbehaving students is such a prominent thing when you first start teaching. There is this naive belief that if I just got rid of the bad kids, then we'd all just learn, And what you realize is no. It's true, good learning cannot occur if there's bad classroom management and if there's kids disrupting. But you need good ideas and good lessons, and you need to have good pedagogy. There's an asay tov that needs to be developed in order to make use of the conditions created by the removal of the Ra. Yeah, Moshe, you want to comment?
According to you, how do you read pasuk Hey?
Pasuk Hey is also false, right? Is that so in other words, what you have to do is you have to put in brackets in the beginning. The fool thinks that if you remove dross from silver, then a kli will emerge for the refiner, and the fool thinks that if you remove the Russia from before the king, then his kisei will be established in righteousness.
I was thinking you could read it according to your shot. The second pasuk is actually responding to the fool. Hago Russia lefnei melech.
Yeah.
The kohen batzedek so. Meaning you have to remove the Russia.
Oh, and he must do this. Okay, that's good. That's a good way to read it also. And let me just say also, so I came up with this theory on my own from the pasuk, but I did not have evidence that this is something Shlomo does. But as we've gone over, I don't know when the last one you remember is, but this is actually a genre that we see the meforshim talking about. I remember, Isaac, I think the first one we encountered is, you want to say what it is?
Hon Ashir Kiryas Uzo.
Yeah. Hon Ashir Kiryas Uzo. This is 10:15. This must have been a Monday night here. Hon Ashir Kiryas Uzo, Mechitas Dalim Resham. The wealth, the fortune of the wealthy person is his fortress of strength, and the poverty of the poor is their destruction. Okay, so when we read it, we were like, really? That does not sound like a very Shlomo HaMelech thing to say, that wealth is just going to protect you from stuff. There's so many pesukim in Mishlei and Koheles that talk about how wealth will not protect you. In fact, that's earlier in the parak. Lo yo'il otzros resha. That the treasuries of the Russia will not benefit him. So I don't remember which of the mefarshim we saw, but I happen to see Rבינו Yona here says it outright. Hon asher kiryas uzo diber beholulus v'sichlus b'nei adam. This is speaking about the foolishness and idiocy of ignorance of people. Sha'ashir boteach ba'oshro. The wealthy person trusts in his wealth, v'hadal yarem machmas ratio, and the poor person is afraid of his poverty. V'nimses kavanas ha'ashir b'bitachon v'ha'ani b'yira. Consequently, the intent, I think, the mentality of the wealthy person in his security and the poor person in his fear, his insecurity, amount to the same thing. Ushneim shagu, both of them are making a mistake. Ki ein hachayim v'atov b'sibas ha'osher. The life and good is not caused by wealth. So I think that's a good precedent here. Rבינו Yona is saying the pasuk is expressing a false mentality, and you're supposed to catch it and realize that this is false. And I think that it is similar to the move that Moshe Koppel started with, which is that, because this is the move of all Mishlei, is that it's taking something that's obvious and then applying it to something not obvious. Here, though, I'm saying that the obvious thing is no one would ever think that just because you remove the dross, then a kli pops out. But people do think that if you remove the Russia, then a good government pops out, and that's not how it works.
So what way to run it though? Why not just
Got to keep you on your toes. Got to ladas chacham musar. Got to say again. Yeah, it is like that. Right. But I do think you have to be thinking, and you have to question authority, right? Don't just assume that if he says it, it's.
Are there any Rishonim here which say that?
No. Not that I saw. Not that I saw.
My question is, given that we did have multiple good explanations which explain it,
Yeah.
that's true, then why would you go to say that, like, isn't that a bigger step to take that saying?
Yeah, I'm fine taking that step. And
Do you
I think
not accept these explanations?
no, these are fine. But I think the weakness of these explanations is you have to say that Vayeti Latzorf Kelly is not literal, and I'm saying it is literal.
Okay.
Right, and then that's where the puzzle is coming in. Like it's just, and again, it's to me, it's a powerful question that Vayetze is false, and the Kli being ascribed to the Tzoref is false. The Tzoref is not the guy who makes the Kli. So I think this really addresses that question. And everyone else has to say, like for example, just as an example of this, looking at Matsudas David, he says, that's the wrong parak. Matsudas David says, Kmo kasher yusar hasigim min hakesav yatsa az letzoref kli muhudar ki yuchal az laakmu uliyasher kfi tzorech hamalacha. So he says the kli will merge because now you can shape it in line with the malacha. He has to like posit this other step that this is not saying.
But so your question on the other people is like it's not true because you need someone to actually
Yeah, that's my question. And again, everyone's gonna have to say something like doesn't line up here. Yeah.
So so the idea that I gave, like you need isn't that only you need someone to manage the whole
correct?
thing?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think that could work out. Yeah, that could work out. Yeah, Isaac, is this a question or an example?
Neither. It's just about the Mishlei pasuk that you said. I actually was thinking of a different pasuk. It was 18:11. That was the first one that I saw. Hona ashir kirasuzo uchuma niskava.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I also thought it took place in yeshiva. That's why I was confused when I thought it was a Monday night Mishlei. Yeah, okay, that's good.
18:11.
Yeah, okay. I want to show you another shot, which I think fits in best maybe with Moshe Koppel's idea. So our new friend, my new friend, Zrachia, right, who is the explains all of Mishlei in line with the Rambam's approach of Derech Nister here. So this is really good, right? So the last pasuk talked about the heavens and then about God. Okay, so he learns that pasuk is about metaphysics versus physics. Okay, and it makes sense. Gold is metaphysics and silver is physics. Okay, so then in line with that, he says like this: Hago sigim, ki kmosha hasigim tzarech lahotzia min hakesef achar sheishar hakesef naki kedei latzos mimen kli. Just as the dross needs to be removed from silver in order that the kesef remain pure in order to make a kli from it. So he also says you have to like do the step of making a kli. Pain zosa chachma. So too this chachma tzarech lemishi yirtze lalamda shlo yivalbel atma b'limuda. So I think he's talking about physics. You need to learn physics so that your mind does not be confused in its learning. V'lo ya'arev hadeos hazaros im hadeos hamitios v'hasvaros hanachonos kasher asu chachme umas ha'olam. So that that strange, meaning false opinions, do not become mixed with true opinions and with good svaros, as happens in the Chachma Umas Ha'olam. So I'm not reading the earlier part, but my interpretation of this in conjunction with the metaphysics stuff is that in order to have good metaphysics, you need to make sure that your physics is good, and your physics needs to be purified from all of its adulterants. Otherwise, it's not just going to corrupt your physics; it's going to corrupt your metaphysics. And you see, what was that?
It's ironic that like Mamdani is writing that, and now all of this is wrong.
Yeah, it is true. Yeah, I mean, he was doing the best he could, but right. But it's a good example because you will often see people, let's say, like usually it's from people who are trying to learn Rishonim. But on like metaphysical issues, not realizing that the views are dependent on outdated Aristotelian physics. And these are people who are not interested in science. So they're not trying to like, in either science, they're not interested in Aristotelian science or modern science. So they're just working with this metaphysics that has been developed on an unsound basis. And you can mess up your metaphysics that way. And Rabbi Chaim Eisen, the Judaism Demystified guys had a good podcast episode with him, and he used a good analogy. He said, when you're learning someone like the Rambam, who was working in Aristotelian realm, he said you need to perform microsurgery to know which aspects were dependent on Aristotelian physics and which ones are still adaptable based on modern stuff. Otherwise, it's going to mess everything up. Okay, sorry, I got to go. Yep, 9 o'clock.
Thank you.
A lot more to learn here, and I really do wish I didn't mean to turn off to say we don't want examples, it's a real quality versus quantity thing. You really should come up with real world examples because that's what Mishlei is for. But I feel guilty that we didn't use enough time yesterday for this, and I just want to make sure that we got a lot of options out here. All right,
I think it was a good balance.
Okay, good. All right. All right. Take care.